What is going on, FA Nation? Jonathan Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live show here, featuring a Monday day slate here, James. We've got Memorial Day weekend, a little bit of a holiday, so we got 6 games kicking off at 1 o'clock today.
Yeah, first and foremost, salute to the troops that have served, that we do have this day, in remembrance of all of them that have passed, and to all that have survived to help us afford our daily lives. And so just a little pay homage to them on this day. I know it's a holiday 3-day weekend for most, but a lot more behind, than just that. So first and foremost, get that out of the way. But happy Monday, John, to you. 6-game slate. I forced you to log on early. You were in bed about 5 minutes ago. I called you, texted you, said, dude, you got to wake up. We have a show in 5 minutes. And here we are, 6-gamer. It's a fun little 6-gamer. We have some decent pitching options. We don't have cores, which is glorious because we had cores literally for 7 straight days, I think. Miami and then the Mets, right? We're just back to back to back to back. It was as many rings as LeBron said he was going to win in Miami, and that didn't happen. And but yeah, interesting 6-gamer that I'm ready to get into.
Yeah, for sure. If we're looking at the weather report for today, it seems like the only real game we may have some trouble with is Cleveland-Baltimore here. It's going to be raining early in that one, with heavier rains picking up later on in the day. So it seems like, based off some of the reporting that's out there, if they don't delay start themselves, they just get it going, that they should be good to play today. So let's hope that there's no delays there, because Baltimore, Cleveland, when we talk about smaller slates, pitching tends to be an obvious topic of discussion because there are only so many quality pitchers to choose from on a slate today, and we like going at Cleveland. So if we ended up having to not be able to have Tyler Wells in our player pool today, that may have shortened some lineups for some.
Yeah, there's also wind blowing in Wrigley, which is the most notable wind spot, I'd say, typically around baseball. Because when wind is blowing in any direction in Wrigley, there is pause for either concern or jump for joy, depending on if you want to use a pitcher or offense in that spot. But hopefully we do. Hopefully that Cleveland weather doesn't get it, or Baltimore weather doesn't get any worse.
Yep. Why don't we take a look at Vegas here and take a look at some of the game spreads and game totals for today?
Yeah, so St. Louis is the biggest favorite on the board. Adam Wainwright on the mound for them, up against Kansas City, who's going with an opener. Michael Myers, the villain, is relieving him. But Adam Wainwright and the Cardinals minus 205 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Ryan Nelson and the Arizona Diamondbacks minus 195 on the money line, up against the Colorado Rockies. Nathan Eovaldi, who has turned into one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. You and I are both sad about that. He pitched for both of our teams in the past. Minus 170 for the Texas Rangers, up against the Detroit Tigers. Eovaldi minus 170 on the road is a big number. And then Tyler Wells, the aforementioned, minus 145 against Logan T. Allen of the Cleveland Guardians. Rays small favorites on the road as well. And do we have JP France, a small favorite over the Minnesota Twins. In terms of over-unders, we have a couple games at 10, John. Colorado, Arizona currently sits at a 10 over-under. Some sports books, it's about even on the over-under there. But 10 in that game, and then 10 in KC St. Louis. Every other game currently sits at 8 or 8.5, but interesting to see both those games sitting at 10. Those are big implied totals.
Yeah.
Not a lot of good pitching in those matchups, but also like Colorado's offense is subpar and KC's offense is pretty subpar at times. So interesting to see those two games with 10 implied run total.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% here. Let's get into pitching. We talked about it, that Nathan Eovaldi, one of the highest favored pitchers on the slate here. He's also the most expensive. starter on the board at 10,500 going up against Detroit. Eovaldi's just been an absolute stud. He's coming off of his second complete game and 5 starts. And honestly, it could have been his third. He got pulled 8 2/3 shutout against Oakland there for one reason or another. Maybe 113 they felt was just the pitch limit for him. But could legitimately have 3 complete games of the last 5, an absolute horse. Strikeouts are kind of middling for him here. Detroit is a team that does strike out more than usual. So we could have a ceiling strikeout game. 5 strikeouts in 3 of the 4. In the middle, there's a 12 strikeout game. We probably get 5 to 7 strikeouts here today. I don't think we're going to get, double digits out of Eovaldi, but I mean, a rarity, it seems like in today's game is like there's a legitimate chance he throws a complete game, right? He threw a complete game against the Yankees, followed it up with 8 shutout against the Angels. So if he's rolling here today, Texas, because I think they know their bullpen's probably a little bit of a weakness for them, willing to let their ace go.
Yeah, there's no reason to think that Eovaldi isn't going to give you at least 7 innings minimum at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not striking people out, every single out is on the ground. I mean, look at these ground ball outs for him. The last 5 starts, 4 of the last 5, he's been at 10 or more outs on the ground, with the one exception being 9. I mean, he's been awesome. And there's no reason to think that train stops now. I mean, he's some of these teams obviously haven't been great. Like Pittsburgh is struggling. Atlanta, the one spot that he struggled, still had a quality start.
He gave up 2 home runs.
I know.
Right. And honestly, 9 fly balls in that game, right? Like a guy that does not give up a lot of fly balls. Obviously, he faced a tougher lineup. But Oakland dominated. Angels dominated. That Yankees lineup we know wasn't the Yankees lineup we're seeing today. And he's also historically just owned New York. So, no surprise there. Complete game shutout. So, something's turned the corner for him here. And Detroit doesn't seem like an offense that's going to disappoint when it comes to stacking against them pitching wise.
No, and that was my end point. Like the matchups haven't been that hard for him, and it's not going to change today. Like Detroit's offense, outside of one Zach McKinstry, that he needs to look out for.
Yeah, Riley Green. Yeah, that's right.
Riley Green. Yeah, McKinstry Green, the dynamic duo up there in Detroit. Eovaldi's a lock and load play.
One of the other, early Cy Young candidates, it's Sonny Gray's at $10,000. Gray's been an interesting pitcher of late. It seems like, he goes 105 pitches against San Francisco right after being pulled at 84 pitches against the Dodgers. He throws 90 pitches against Cleveland, 94 against Chicago. So, it seems like they're willing to let him go if he's running good, but there are spots where they pull him early from. Yep. He's coming back to earth a little bit from that start he had where he allowed just 3 total earned runs over his first 5 starts. Now he's starting to get hit, but as he gets hit, he faces tougher teams. San Francisco against righties, the Dodgers, against right-handed pitching here. Thoughts on his matchup today against Houston? Does he win over as the elite pitcher, or does that Houston offense that's starting to round into form get to him today?
Yeah, I guess that's the question, right? Because if you look at the total body of work for Houston, they're 22nd in OPS against right-handed pitching, and that's not something we're used to seeing. But just yesterday, and yes, it was against the worst team potentially in Major League history, where their own social media team is absolutely torching Oakland. Jose Altuve hits a home run. Jose Abreu hits a home run and slides into the dugout because what a weight off his back. Is that the offense we're going to start seeing moving forward? He's obviously a pivot off of a chalky Nathan Eovaldi. I don't know if it's a worthy one. Like we had 230 fantasy point outputs in his first 5 starts this year. We've only had 225 plus since then. So the ceiling even has lowered, even as the price has risen, the ceiling has lowered. And I understand he still has a 1.8 ERA and he still has 66 strikeouts in 54 innings. It's a pivot for me, not one that I'm actively seeking out though.
Yep, I'm with you there. When I first took a peek at this slate here today, I was very much intrigued, as I mentioned, about Tyler Wells. in this spot against Cleveland. Obviously a little bit of a tough spot against the Yankees last time out. The home run ball has been his biggest problem, but Cleveland, they have a couple of guys.
Doesn't hit them. Just say it.
They have like a couple of guys, but like for the most part, they don't hit home runs, right? If you can escape Josh Naylor, who's hitting 200 but has like 8 home runs, and like you're probably okay. So I like Tyler Wells at the 9K range. Any interest here in Taj Bradley, who's at $9,600 going up against the Cubs?
I don't like the price. I like the pitcher. I don't like the price. I would probably rather, especially like when you look at Taj Bradley, like since being recalled, he hasn't looked as good. And I don't know, like I would almost rather take a shot on Stroman, who's just pitched better this year. I know it's an incredibly tough spot.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that, but like
18 ground ball.
He also could just do that again, right? Like he could also there's like a world where every single time he throws a pitch, it's just beaten to the ground. Now
pitch counts on him are weird, right? Hasn't cracked 90 in 4 starts.
Yeah. I mean, that's also like to his credit in like the Mets game, like, probably the Mets just like chasing these like sinkers that they think are going to be in the zone and they're just dropping off, and then it's a ground ball out, and didn't need him to come out for the 9th. But I don't disagree. I would just rather take a shot on Stroman at 83 than Taj Bradley 96. Like Bradley, it has no business being 96.
I agree with you there. And as we talk about it, with 6-game slates, pitching kind of then just drops off a cliff, right? So we have these top guys here, a couple in the mid-tier. We've stacked against JP France a lot this year. It's only paid off once against Chicago. Milwaukee, he goes out there and 8 strikeouts, 5 2/3 against the White Sox, 6 2/3, an earned run, 3 Ks there. Shutout Seattle. We are suckers for playing Minnesota.
We sure are.
Do we go back to the well here today? Because again, a lot of the peripheral numbers on our guy France suggest that he is due for regression.
Yeah, they sure do. The only thing is, like, lefties are not doing anything against him. 183 WOBA, 8.086 ISO, like 68% ground ball rate against left-handed bats, and we know the Twins are just like largely lefty dominant. So I'm okay getting there. Like you said, a 4.84 xFIP compared to a 3.43 ERA is not something that, is going to maintain. I mean, 35% hard hit rate, almost a 40% fly ball rate overall, because righties have done so much damage against him this year, which, the middle of the Twins lineup has Correa, Buxton, if they are, interested in playing today. So, yeah, I mean, I like the Twins, and I think it's a good spot. I'm just so curious as to why lefties have done, like, they just can't hit him. Like, why? Like, lefties cannot hit this guy, apparently. And we look at the Twins lineup.
I have to imagine it's the pitch repertoire, right? So,
yeah, 6 of 9 projected. We're throwing JP France throwing fastball, slider, changeup, knuckle curve, cutter, like nothing that, like, no like sinker going down and away to a lefty, no like splitter, like there's I don't know like what. So I guess the changeup going down and away could be an issue for lefties. I'd be okay on both sides of this on this fence, kind of like. I see London, I see France. Oh wait, but speaking of, John, look at this cup.
Bad jokes. Yeah.
For fresh daily. What do you think? Thoughts on the cup? I mean, par for
you. Yeah,
par for the course for me, right?
Yeah, I'm happy for you. If we're going value wise, Ryan Nelson last 2 starts, 11 1/3 innings, 1 earned run. I don't really love it. But he is a big favorite over Colorado here today for one reason or another. So he's obviously there. And then Adam Wainwright. I know he has not been good in his 4
No,
starts,
no, he is not.
but if you want to like float out the home theory again here, he's had 2 bad starts on the road, Cincinnati, Boston. Last year, he had like an ERA almost near 5 on the road. But at home again last year, he had an ERA under 3. His most recent home start against the Dodgers, 5 2/3, only 2 earned runs. He had 5 runs allowed, but only 2 of them were earned. Kansas City has been abysmal against right-handed pitching. Just the last 2 weeks, they have the 3rd highest strikeout rate. They have a 188 average, a 259 WOBA, a 586 OPS, a 333 slug, a 250 on base percentage against right-handed pitching. That's just the last 2 weeks. For the year, it's really not that much better. They have the 5th highest strikeout rate at 25%. Their batting average is the 3rd lowest at 223. Their weighted on base percentage there is right down towards the bottom, 3rd lowest at 286. Adam Wainwright got off to a little bit of a slow start. He's working his way into some, maybe playing shape here. He's home where he's pitched really well, even when everybody thought he was past his prime. So I don't know. I would be willing to throw one final dart on the future Hall of Famer here in Adam Wainwright.
Have I mentioned he's at home, John?
Yeah.
Have we mentioned he's at home?
That's what I'm saying.
That's really like the one Adam Wainwright talking point at this.
It is. It's the only redeeming quality he has. Because this year he's been bad, but for the last 3 years when he's only been bad on the road, he's always been bad. He's always been good at home. Last year on the road, 4.73 ERA, at home 2.98, and that's been the trend now for the last handful of seasons, basically. Just an elite home pitcher. So Kansas City struggling big time here against right-handed pitching. I know we like some guys in their lineup. Salvi's got a lot of power. Bobby Witt's been a lot better against lefties rather. Listen, it's a smaller slate. You got to find some ways to, be different. And I think that Adam Wainwright, I'll give him one last ride here. If he comes out against Kansas City at home and just gets pushed around, maybe I pass, and then we'll look at a different direction moving forward.
Different direction today. Any interest in Matt Boyd or Mike Myers? Not the villain, maybe the villain.
I can't really go anybody against the Rangers lineup.
Yeah,
there's that. I know a lot of their good hitters are either from the left side or hit right-handed pitching really well. So Boyd has in the past, at least for one season, profiled as a high strikeout guy, but literally just one season. Yeah, literally just one season. I had more strikeouts than pitch. It was like 220 strikeouts or something like that one year.
Yeah.
But no, Texas on the year, Texas against left-handed pitching this year, they have a 358 WOBA. It's the 3rd highest in baseball. So that's a no-fly zone for me. And I'm not going to go down with like Kaufman or anybody like that.
What about Myers? 8 strikeouts his last time out.
Yeah, but he's an opener or a long reliever rather. I mean,
Sean Manaea tell that to Sean Manaea coming off 27 strikeouts.
Probably that's probably not going to work for me. St. Louis 5th highest WOBA against right-handed pitching, 20% strikeout rate. It doesn't seem like that's going to profile well for him.
No, it doesn't.
All right, let's go on over to catcher. Hopefully we'll get some lineups at some point here soon. Ross locked at 105 here today. Elias Diaz is up over 5K, not playing him, just mentioning that he's up over 5K. Perez, if you are not a Wainwright truther here today, obviously a lot of power, potentially $5,100 for him. Jonah Heim at $4,300 feels pretty solid for us there at $4,300 in the mid-tier as well.
Yeah, and you've talked about it a couple times, Salvi doing all of his damage against righties this year. Yeah. And for all that we talked, and mostly John, about Adam Wainwright, he's not good. He hasn't been good. So like you could definitely get to Salvi for power. I would probably take a dart at Rutschman if you're stacking Orioles. I like Logan T. Allen as a pitcher, but we know Baltimore hits lefties very well. Jonah Heim, Yeah, I mean, Matt Boyd against righties this year in trouble. 345 WOBA, 186 ISO, 50% fly ball rate. That is
Yeah.
terrifying when you face the Rangers. And John, you mentioned that, like, and we've talked about this a lot, and it's been primarily targeted around Simeon and Adolis because they've like been such reverse splits hitters
Yeah.
over the last few years. Simeon now 347 WOBA on the year. All the power is against right-handed pitching, but 347 WOBA, not bad. Adolis 256 ISO, 358 WOBA against lefties. Like
So they're both coming
starting to
around,
coming
is what you're
around.
saying.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
their top six all plus
Yeah. Josh
hitters.
Jung was the cover of today's show.
Yep.
So, I mean, that man is annihilating
Yep.
left-handed
Yep.
pitching, and the 50% fly ball rate, as you mentioned, is terrifying.
Yep.
If you're Matt Boyd going up against Josh Jung today,
Yep.
just ridiculous power. Our guy Gabriel Moreno's $3,100, just down there for free if you're looking to spend down. I don't know if I would go anywhere else though today for value.
Um, if the Twins played Ryan Jeffers, he homered. Righties just kill him. That's probably it though. Like we don't have cheap Giants catchers. Who the are the Royals? Uh,
Furman's a
Furman's
righty,
a
so I don't know
righty,
if they
probably
can.
not in the lineup. Probably Moreno. That's it. Carl Kaufman has been a gas can. I know,
Yeah,
unfortunately, he's had like 2 starts in course, which is obviously not great, Bob. But um, that's probably it for me too.
yeah. Go over to first base here then. Goldschmidt coming off of another home run game here. He had a handful of games ago previously. Batting average isn't great of late, but 952 OPS, 529 slug here. So there's certainly some potential there. Uh, Mountcastle gets lefty again. I know you're an Allen fan, but Mountcastle has profiles for a lot of power against left-handed pitching. We don't love him at home, but again, we know that he can still get through with some power numbers there. Him, and we'll talk about Santander a little bit later on as well. Where else are you peaking? I imagine if you're not in on Wainwright, Pasquantino is going to be in your vision today.
Yeah, I mean, I know we generally play Christian Walker against lefties, but Carl Kaufman is that bad that I would be perfectly fine getting to like a 5-man Arizona stack today. They're huge favorites. There's a big implied run total in that game, 10 runs. So Christian Walker to break out of a slump, I don't mind a home run there. Joey Gallo, same thing. I know JP France hasn't allowed any power to lefties or anything to lefties, but if he's going to continue to lead off, there's home run equity out of Gallo. But yeah, Pasquantino, he's struggling. But we know that he hits righties extremely well. He has for the last 2 years since being called up. Let's see the official numbers against righties this year. 230 ISO, 341 WOBA, 40% fly ball rate's great. Doesn't strike out, and Wainwright has a 9% strikeout rate against lefties. John, lefties this year against Adam Wainwright, 408 WOBA, 293 ISO. Like and I get
Yeah.
it. I understand, like, he is home and he's historically been better there, but like, that is bad. Like, those are terrible numbers. And obviously, he has a cupcake matchup here, but if Pasquantino comes around, he could cause a lot of issues. So,
And we do know also that the Royals are very capable of throwing
yep,
out like
a lot of
a
lefties.
7-man lefty lineup.
Yep,
So definitely something to watch there. If we were suggesting a power play against Tyler Wells, Naylor's there.
yep,
Only hitting like 200 on the year, but recent form Naylor's been pretty good.
yep.
333 average, 545 slug, 917 OPS over the last 10. Assuming he's in the lineup here today, the only pinch hit yesterday. Again, a good power spot potentially for him here. Then again, Wells has been good, so like there aren't like great split stats for like against him per se, but the home run ball has been a problem for him. So certainly someone to peek at. You mentioned the lefty with Pasquantino. Prado's first base outfield eligible. He'll be right there in the middle of that lineup. Let's see here. Nolan Jones is still hanging around.
Yep.
Any interest in Nolan Jones here?
Yep, sure. Ryan Nelson has pitched well, and he is a big favorite. But you said it in your opening. You said Ryan Nelson is a big favorite for whatever reason. That was like word for word
Yeah.
what you said, and you're not wrong. Like he's just kind of he's getting by because for whatever reason. But lefties have killed him. 403 WOBA, 216 ISO, 47% hard hit rate. He has a 10% strikeout rate against lefties. Um, Not really doing it. And not that, not that Colorado has like an abundance of lefties here, but I like
No.
Nolan Jones. Mike Moustakas is right there at 3,400 as well. If he cracks the lineup, like we could see Jones and Moustakas both multi-position eligible. Blackman's a lefty. Like they have a decent amount of lefties that could profile. Like they have a decent amount of lefties that can cause issues. Nolan Jones is
Yeah.
obviously the highly touted prospect of like that core group of guys that hit from the left side, but I definitely have interest in him at 3,200.
Yep, for sure. Let's go over to second
Wait,
base here then.
I got
Yep. Oh,
Pavin
all right.
Smith 3,000. They've been leading him off,
Sure.
which I find a little interesting. Carl Kaufman is just so bad. So I'm if they do decide to lead Pavin Smith off for one reason or another, and I know Carl Kaufman's been crushed against righties, but 629 xFIP, 14% strikeout rate, 37% fly ball rate, 57% hard hit rate allowed. Like pretty much anyone
Yeah.
with a pulse in the Arizona lineup, I have interest in.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely feeling a Corbin Carroll day
Oh yeah,
today.
for sure.
Especially only $5,100 today, but we'll get to outfield in a moment. Let's go over to second base as we mentioned here. Semien is 6K again. Like if you want to spend up, as you mentioned, the numbers are coming around. When we talk a lot about this early on, you have some of these smaller sample sizes, numbers look pretty bad, and then as they get into a run of like maybe facing like 3 lefties in 4 days or something like that, and that offense starts rolling, you start seeing that production come up. I've been pretty outspoken about how I wasn't a big fan of Simeon last year. Still early on this year, I was like, I don't know. I don't think he's worth this money. I mean, late form for him. He's been pretty good, obviously.
Yep.
Do you find yourself on a slate like today thinking that $6,000 is a price you're willing to pay for him?
Possibly. I mean, we're obviously going to need to find value. There wasn't a lot of great value pitching. I think that's why something like Pavin Smith would make sense if you're playing, or like Nolan Jones or something like that, because that's really the only way you're going to be able to get to Simeon 6K, and including like guys in the outfield that we're going to get to, like Corbin Carroll and Josh Jung. Like Texas is very expensive. So you're going to have to pair them with a very cheap stack or just a bunch of cheap one offs. I would play Simeon in a stack. I probably wouldn't get him at 6K as a one-off, because I think there are better Texas one-offs that just profile better than him at 6K. So I like him best in a stack.
There's probably no bigger Nolan Gorman fan than you on this show. Uh,
Well, because he's
so uh,
awesome.
for
Who's not a Nolan Gorman
for
fan?
$4,800 here today. We know the power has been there. 550 slug, 906 OPS over his last 10 here at home this season, which is kind of surprising because St. Louis generally profiles as a pitcher park. 364 average, a 727 slug. 8 of his 13 home runs are at home, a 1172 OPS. So everything profiling well here for Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, and he's again they've decided, you know what, let's split up Goldschmidt Arenado again this year, and we're gonna put Gorman smack dab in the middle of them. So they go lefty righty at the top of their lineup, and Gorman has the best numbers, has officially overtaken Paul Dong in a couple categories, but 278 ISO, 385 WOBA against righties is just pure domination, and it's a small sample for Michael Myers. Against lefties, very small because he's only made a couple of appearances, but 522 WOBA, 231 ISO for lefties this year. So if that's something that like correlates, and you know what, just over the last 2 years, just looking at it, 384 WOBA allowed, and it's a much bigger sample, 119 plate appearance. The power is gonna bite this guy in the ass. 384 WOBA, 298 ISO to lefties, 51% fly ball rate. And then the power to righties, 192 ISO, 36% fly ball rate. He's in trouble here. There's going to be home runs flying. You're right. No Mike Myers for us today, and I'm all in on the Nolan Gorman train. You know what? Like, I think most people are probably going to like. I could see people getting to St. Louis, but I think a lot of people get to Arizona, and a lot of people
Yeah,
get to
Marte
Texas.
is just below him
Yep.
in price wise. 5 of his 7 homers have come against right-handed pitching this year, but a lot of his better splits are against lefties
Mhm.
on the season. So you can certainly go there if you want to, as you mentioned, against Kaufman. No one's going to argue. But once we get past that group, I mean, there's not a lot of great options, I don't feel, for us here. Julian is a lefty against France. You mentioned France isn't giving up anything to lefties. Frazier is a lefty against Allen here. Dubon may or may not play. Walls has been way better against lefties and righties. Edmund, don't even know if he's going to be in the lineup against a righty half the
Yep.
time. Duffy had been leading off against lefties, but Wainwright's on the mound. Like, where is there like an obvious spend down second baseman for you today?
Yeah, I think you were on the right team. You were just on the wrong guy. I think Nicky Lopez, 2,400 back in their lineup is fine. And same thing with Michael Massey if you want like a cheap home run potential. Both guys have been fine. Like Lopez just came back from the IL. Massey, 3 multi-hit games in his last 5 and hit 276 over his last 10. So I would be okay with both those guys if you're targeting Wainwright, especially with Wainwright struggles against lefties. But that's really it. There's no like clear cut guy. I just would
Yeah.
prefer the lefties than Duffy in
Yep.
that spot.
That's no Rugnan Odor today, so I don't know what to do with the
This
position.
is true.
So, you know. Third base here. Jose Ramirez is your top price guy at 52. Alex Bregman's at $5,000 today. Keeps on hitting the ball pretty well. But as I mentioned, the cover of today's show is Josh Jung. He's $4,900. That is where I am going today, plugging and playing and moving on when it comes to my third base play.
Yeah, I mean hits in 11 straight games
He's
now,
hitting lefties and righties at
10
the
straight
moment.
games.
So
Yeah, hitting everything. 421, 1,300 OPS essentially his last 10. And you
the
mentioned,
lefty splits for him this year are insane. 340 average, 660 slug, a 1040 OPS against lefty.
yeah, and let's look for 40, almost a 40% fly ball rate. On top of that,
Yeah, you
319
mentioned Boyd has
ISO.
a 50% fly ball rate,
Yeah,
so
50
just not.
50% fly ball rate to righties. So yeah, that's the perfect matchup for Josh Jung to deposit one into the stands. I agree. He's the top play at this price. And I would say like after that, it's probably Arenado, but like he's had one good stretch this year where he hit a home run in 5 straight games, 6 of 7, and then the rest of the year has kind of been terrible.
Mhm.
Right? Like it's been terrible for him outside of that 1 7 game stretch. 4,800 is a really good price though. So I don't know. That'd probably be the other spot I'd go to like 4K.
Yeah, that's fine. If when we're looking to spend up,
Oh, Ryan
wisdom
McMahon.
wisdom doubled on yesterday. Do you think that's something to read into here at $4,100?
He had like no hits going. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he's always a threat for a home run, but so if you want to play him for the potential that he homers, that's fine.
Okay. Any other third baseman then for you?
I mean, you can play Moose here. Either Arizona third baseman could be in play, just given how bad Carl Kaufman's been against righties. Kyle Farmer is in play. We joke about him all the time, and he's struggling, but righties have been the ones to hurt
Yeah.
JP France. Willie Castro, did he have the big game? Yeah, he had the double hung on Saturday when I played Chris Bassett. It was a really good time. Chris Bassett just had a
Yeah,
really
that
good
was
time.
infuriating.
39 fantasy points for Willie Castro. I mean, like, is that repeatable? No, but he's actually had 2 big games in his last 4. He had 2 stolen bases, and he had a double dong and a stolen base in that on Saturday. So, like, I don't know, like, apparently Willie Castro has a Ronald Acuna ceiling if you want to go there.
Yeah.
at $2,500.
Yeah, that's fine. Moving on over to shortstop here. Seager's your top price guy, gets the lefty spot, but I'm not really too concerned about that. Bobby Witt against a righty at 54. Franco in a top spot against Stroman at 51. Any of these top guys profiling as must plays for you today?
Not as must plays. Seager has been good against lefties. Boyd has been really good against lefties. So
All right.
like, what's gonna give? ISO 217, 421 WOBA for Seager. Matt Boyd has a 0.053 ISO allowed to lefties. Like they're just doing nothing. The ground ball rate is good for him against lefties. So like I don't know. Witt, we know his lefties well this year. Franco, it's probably Wander of the three just because he gets on, he'll go. And we've talked about that a lot. Like, Sherman gives up base hits.
Yeah.
Sherman's not going to like one hit anybody, two hit anybody. So Franco is the guy who has 2 hits today. He could have 2 stolen bases. So of the 5K tier, I would say Wander's the winner for me.
Okay. Going down into the mid-tier range, you've mentioned, Farmer's there, Perdomo maybe at $3,700. Could be a guy. The
Did you mean
945.
Correa? Did you mean
Yeah,
Correa? You
Correa.
said
Yeah, for
Farmer. You said
sure.
Farmer. I didn't know if you meant Farmer or Correa.
Oh well, yeah. If I was just scrolling down, Farmer
Oh,
had
okay. Okay.
has the dual positional
Okay.
eligibility. But yeah, Correa at $4,100. You mentioned the righty's doing the damage against France. He's starting to come around. The 361 slug, 783 OPS looks okay. De Jong at $3,900. Perdomo, as I said, has some pretty decent power numbers lately. But again, on a short slate, another sort of less than stellar value tier for us here.
Yeah, it's not great. I wish Mateo was the Mateo of old. Yeah, it's
Well,
gone,
we
John.
knew that run was going to end.
I know, but it's not. It hasn't ended. Like it has. He's gonna get like sent down. He went from like best player in baseball to like not gonna be on the team in a month. I like Correa 41 as my favorite shortstop today, I would
Okay.
say. Because there's just actually nothing else that even exists.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Perdomo is fine. Rosario is fine. De Jong is fine. Tovar hits lefties. Doesn't really steal bases. Not going to play Zach Short, even though he's been good because he gets Evaldi. It's bleak down here.
It's a small slate, man. These are the small slate struggles that we have to sort of try and work ourselves through here at times. So looking at the shortstop, like I said, maybe it's a spot where you just look to spend up because of the talent pool that is available to you otherwise.
Yeah.
Let's go on over to outfield where there's not a shortage of talent. Jordan Alvarez is up here at 63. They gave Christopher Morel the 6K treatment on this slate as outfield only. Christopher Morel going up against Bradley. Buxton's at 58. Rosarena's 57. So some big name talent here. Which ones do you prefer?
I mean, Buxton has the best matchup of the group, I'd say. Obviously, Jordan double-downing yesterday. We've seen Christopher Morel slow down a little bit, but he still has a million home runs in a short period of time. So I lean Buxton of the group. Buxton has good numbers against righties this year. 254 ISO, 356 WOBA, 50% fly ball rate, and all that plays against JP Francis, 51% fly ball rate, 383 ISO allowed to right-handed bats. So I think Buxton's my favorite of the group. But obviously, if you want to get to Jordan or Morel or Tucker or Rosarena, like no one's going to stop you here. And Adolis has looked really good against lefties this year too.
Yeah, for sure. Other guys sort of in the middle upper tier range here. You mentioned Blackman against Nelson. A lot of lefties doing damage there. He's starting to come around with some power numbers the last 2 of the last 3 games. I know he gets a Coors Field bump, but Arizona obviously in the past has been a decent spot for offense there as well. Josh Lowe, we can joke about his 5K tag all we want, but the man just continues to produce 6 stolen bases in the last 10 games now to go with the power. So man's already got 11 homers and 12 stolen bases on the year with 300 average and 959 OPS. So again, I know Stroman is the ground ball king, but another guy for Tampa that if they get on, seems like he's got a green light to go. So could see some stolen bases there. If Lourdes is in the lineup, that'd be great. We could play some Lourdes today at 43. Santander, as I mentioned, ton of power against lefties here. We've got Allen on the mound there, so some good mid-tier options for us.
Yeah, both. I know you mentioned it was a Corbin Carroll day, but just circling back for anyone that may have missed it. Obviously, Corbin Carroll, an elite play, $5,100, coming off just big weekend, just bunch of big games now stringing together. A lot of power, a lot of speed with Corbin Carroll. Love him, 51. And Lourdes Gurriel has dominated righties this year. 333 his last 10, 315 on the year. Santander, great play. Blackman. I like this tier a lot more than I actually like the five, above Corbin Carroll tier, truthfully.
Yeah. Our guy in Chad DePrint wants to know what our thoughts are about Franco at shortstop. Like we said, a lot of ground balls by Stroman here, but Franco obviously, and Franco's better splits have been against lefties, but with the righty on the mound and the stolen base upside of Tampa Bay in general, if Franco gets on base, definitely potential for a steal or two in this game. Plus, Tampa Bay's offense is just a machine, so could just as easily go out there and score 10 runs today. So I don't mind Franco. I don't think anyone's going to play Tampa Bay today against Stroman, so could be some lower rostership there as well.
I could see Wander being popular just because we talked the shortstop position was terrible. The rest of this, I agree on the rest of Tampa, but I could see Franco being like
the one-off Franco.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, you know what? We have a great comment here in chat. Did Royce Lewis get
activated?
Yep. He is getting activated for Monday. He is being reinstated from the 60-day injury list Monday. Stone Cold Min was raking at AAA.
Do you think that they'll put him in the lineup? I guess that's the next question, right?
I think if he's activated, he's in.
Sometimes these guys activate and they have him like sit on the bench for a day.
We'll see. If he's in. No, we have Tigers. The Tigers lineup.
100%.
Tigers lineup 100%. Is the only one out.
Okay. 100%. If Royce Lewis is in the lineup today, and he is projected to be in the lineup today, yes, 1,000%, because as we talked about, one, sucks. Two, min price gets us a lot of money, flexibility there to kind of play with some builds there.
Good call, Steven.
100%. And we had a lot of questions in chat too, waiver wires about picking up Royce Lewis this week. We knew his call up was imminent, so good to see him. Good to see that news there today for sure. We'll have to see if he's in the lineup or not. But just given the slate size and the lack of depth at the position, what do you think the rostership is if he comes in the lineup today hitting like sixth? You think he's 80% on a 6-game slate?
I don't know. We saw this. Fernando Tatis came back at 2K and he was like 30%. So who knows? I don't think if Tatis, who has already challenged for an MVP, was only 30%, I don't know if Royce O'Neal is going to be much popular than that. Just given.
Was it a bigger slate though?
I don't think so. It could have been. It might have been. Maybe because it's a shallow position, we could see. I don't see ownership up anywhere at this point, so I couldn't even give you an accurate guess on where the field lies on Royce right now.
That's fair. So that will certainly open up a lot of salary for you one way or the other, depending on how you want to go about your roster builds for today. Guys under 4K, who's catching your eye?
I would just circle right above 4K. Lars Nootbaar, 4,200, going to lead off. Lefties have been killing. Mike Myers, Profar as well, 4,100. Ryan Nelson. You could definitely attack Ryan Nelson. There's no just because he's a big favorite. We saw this with who was a big favorite last? Marco Gonzalez against Oakland. Mark Gonzalez is not a good pitcher. You could attack just because guys are big favorites. You can attack them. Baltimore hit Austin
Yep.
Hayes third yesterday. I don't know if you saw that. They moved Santander and Mountcastle down. Hit Austin Hayes
Okay.
third. He is rolling right now. 3 hits on
Yeah.
Sunday, home run on Saturday, 2 hits on Friday. Like huge weekend against Texas. Now hitting 405 his last 10 games. 3,700 Austin Hayes catches my eye the most, like right off the bat.
Yeah, I like that call. Yeah, that's a pretty good spot there. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, I'm sure you saw over the weekend, they sent Fletcher
Yeah, and they call
down.
our boy up.
They called our boy up, McCarthy
Yep.
here. McCarthy's 3K. Stole a bag, first game back. Good to see. Had a hit, a double the next night. Struggled on Sunday here. He was hitting the ball really well at
Yep.
AAA. Would you consider him Grossman today in a good spot against Boyd because he'll hit from the right side? What are your thoughts on like this low 3K tier?
Yeah, I mean, you and I are both never going to shy away from playing Jake McCarthy. I know he had been horrible in, before being sent down, but he's a good player. We saw it last year. He was great in the minor leagues, as you mentioned, and he does have power and speed combination. So I definitely get to McCarthy in this spot. I like Grossman, Prado, and Nolan Jones. Two guys we mentioned at first base. For anyone that wasn't around at that time, I think both are in play here in the outfield or at first. Leotis Taveras is also interesting. He's raking. And we talk about the wraparound stacks all the time. He'll hit 9th for Texas. He's a switch hitter. And you could play him or Grossman now. I don't think either are in, like, obviously an optimal lineup positions because since Seeker comes back, Grossman's now hitting like 7th. Taveras hits 9th. But I actually kind of like the Taveras wraparound a little more than the Grossman 7th spot, depending on what part of the lineup you're using. Like, it does correlate with Jung, Heim, Adolis better. But your Taveras kind of might be better with your top half of the lineup stack of Texas. So
Sure. And if they knock Boyd out, Tavera is much better against
yeah,
righties this
he has
year.
been.
But if Boyd isn't long for this game, then there's a good chance that he faces a righty at some
Yep.
point here today. Do we have any interest in Jolks here? I mean, he's been smacking the ball around. I know, again, we talked about Sonny Gray. He's been more hittable of lately for $2,500 for Corey Jolks.
Yeah, he's okay. I don't mind getting there. 2,500 is a pretty good price tag. As you mentioned, 316 over his last 10. They're still in base upside. He has a little power. Maybe as like, last piece in. He's not like a priority for me. I'd rather play Drew.
Do you think Drew Waters gets in the
Yes, I
lineup
do.
today?
Good from the left side, his entire minor league stint. So yeah, I like Waters, and we've already talked about how bad Wainwright's been against left-handed hitters this entire season. Well, in
Yeah.
4 starts.
Anybody else for you?
Wallner has been very good. He got
Yeah, the
optioned.
power
He
the
got
other day, right?
optioned. What do they do? This is
Do they send him down for
6 for
Royce?
his last 6, 8 times on base. You know what, dude? Thanks for your contributions. Head back to AAA.
Max Kepler back today. That's why.
Kepler back and Royce Lewis getting the call. So interesting to see. Let's see if any other lineups, nothing else have come out. Okay.
Wallner went out there and just ruined our Chris Bassett.
Yeah, he really did. And they're like, you know
what?
what? Thanks for your contributions. See you later. No, I think that's it. I don't.
Right.
We don't need to go there here.
Let's go build a line. Imagine we're just plugging in Nathan Eovaldi here.
Yes. The next question is, what are we doing SP2? Because that is not fun.
I think we try to build with Wells and we see what we can do. Do you disagree or agree?
No, I just don't know how we're gonna afford Texas. Like
Well, we may not be able to afford a full Texas stack, but we might be able to get some Texas in the lineup. I think we play Gabriel Moreno at catcher, just save some money there.
Yep.
I'm gonna just plug in Royce Lewis and just assume that he plays.
Okay, if we get lineup news, which I don't think we will, that game's at 4. We're definitely not going to get lineup news at this time.
Because that's the only path, I think, to getting what we want here. So Obviously, we'll be in the Discord till roster lock. So if lineup news comes out, James and I will be available to kind of rework some lineup structures with everybody here. If you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Farm family, you see the scroll down below. fantasyfarm.com/all-pro. Using promo code MLB50 will save you 50% off for the first 6 months. That's $19.98 a month for the first 6 months. And right now, we also have a 7-day free trial included in all of that. So you can just take that right through the first couple months of the football season as well, because it's not just the MLB DFS content you get access to, but the NBA finals are right around the corner. The NHL finals are right around the corner. PGA, NASCAR is running a Monday race today because they got rained out yesterday. So excited to get my lineups in there. 3-time Racing Writer of the Year, Matt Sells, putting out the playbook content there. So a lot covers all of our DFS content and products that we put out there. You get it for $20 a month for the first 6 months, and we have a 7-day free trial. And we have our premium Discord. So if you're watching and you're not yet already in there, sign up, join us. And if any lineup news come out, James and I will be in there to help you guys rework your lineups here today. But I think Royce Lewis has to fit into the lineup in order to make things fit, because now I have Eovaldi, Wells, and Moreno, Josh Jung plugged in at third, and Royce Lewis at short, and I have $4,100 a player. So
yep, I did the same thing.
We're not. Yep. So I mean, like, we're not using Wainwright here. You mentioned lefties. Pasquantino's 42. Ryan Nelson, Moose Moustakas is 34. Prado is 32 if you wanted to use him in that spot. I know you like Nolan Gorman, but Brendan Donovan's down there at 3K as well. If he finds himself in the lineup today. So there's certainly some. Pavin Smith is 3K. So there's definitely some value at first we could go to. I don't think we're going to play Goldschmidt. That'd probably be the only guy I'd spend up for today. Where are you liking first today?
I don't think we get to Goldschmidt. I plugged in Corbin Carroll in the outfield, so I don't think we can get to Goldschmidt. Okay. I love Arizona today, so I'd be perfectly fine just going all in on them if we wanted to go Pavin Smith. If he's leading off, I think that's the kicker. If he's leading off, that's a great value. Nolan Jones is definitely in play for me. Lefties have killed Ryan Nelson. Probably the two guys I would most want to get to. I don't know.
Would you go Nolan Jones or would you go Moustakas?
I would rather play Nolan Jones than Moose.
Okay, I'm good with going Nolan Jones there. So that works for me too. Nolan Jones there. So I got $3,700. I put Nolan Gorman in at second for you.
Okay.
So Moreno, Jones, Gorman, Jung, Lewis, Carroll, $3,700 with Eovaldi and Wells. We could go our guy McCarthy if you like him there. We could go Drew Waters at $2,500 to really help us get a spend up outfielder as well. I think both of those guys are in play today. Pavin Smith still exists if you wanted to go Pavin Smith at 3K as well.
Still exists.
Pavin Smith gets us a $4,400 outfielder. Drew Waters gets us a $4,900 outfielder.
Yeah, I was looking at the Waters thing. I don't know if does it get us to anybody that we'd want here?
I think Blackman's interesting. Lourdes at 43 as well, kind of give us a 3-man Arizona play. Also could be something there.
Yeah, I would. If we did the Lourdes thing, we could just do 4-pack and
switch back to Pavin,
right?
Yeah,
or Pavin, one of the either guy, and then pretty much playing the top four of the top 5 in that lineup.
Could also go Nootbaar. I know you're a fan of him there, and go Nootbaar, Gorman 1-2.
I like that. Lefties have been awesome. And then 3,200. Who's your favorite of this sub? If we wanted more Texas exposure, there's Robbie Grossman here.
So that's what I actually just looked at. So let me get your feelings here. I went up to Jonah Heim off of Gabriel Moreno.
Okay.
And it gives us $3,700 with Heim, Jones, Gorman, Jung, Lewis, Carroll, Waters. But if you mentioned, we could move Nolan Jones into the outfield if we wanted to as well. And Moustakas is there at 34. But also, again, we talked about some guys we like. Austin Hayes, as you mentioned, moved down, hitting third now. Melendez is 3,400. If you talk about power and lefties, I know he's been struggling against Wainwright. Prado 32, Grossman, I don't mind. Donovan, a lot of guys who just mentioned are all right there also. So if you want to upgrade for some power at catcher today, I think Jonah Heim's certainly an easier upgrade to get to there as well, and gives you a little run with Jung there.
Yeah, I don't dislike that because we want righties against Matt
So we
Boyd.
could go Grossman. The projected lineup for today is Jung, Heim, and Grossman hitting right next to each other.
Yeah, it's a good little correlation, and then you come off of essentially you come off of Waters, right?
Well, I had Waters still in the lineup, but did you want to pivot Waters off for like McCarthy or somebody like that? Or
probably.
Prado?
Yeah, I mean we have 3,200, so we could play anyone in this tier. I'm okay playing Prado, Donovan, Smith, McCarthy. I like all those guys.
Okay. Yeah, let's go McCarthy. He's our guy. Let's ride with him. So we'll do that. Do you want to just move into Pavement Smith then, or just get the Arizona stack going off of Nolan Jones there?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that's what we got. We have Nathan Eovaldi, Tyler Wells, Jonah Heim, Pavement Smith, Nolan Gorman, Josh Jung, Royce Lewis, Corbin Carroll, Jake McCarthy, and Robbie Grossman. So we got 3 Rangers. We got 3 Diamondbacks. We got a 1-off there of Royce Lewis in Minnesota, 1-off Nolan Gorman, St. Louis, with 2 top pitching spendouts for today. Again, James and I will be in the Discord. Everybody enjoyed their day baseball today. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the podcast, and we'll be live at 5 o'clock Eastern for everybody there. Again, if you have any questions, go in the Discord, find us there. Try out the 7-day free trial, sign up with promo code MLB50, and become a member of the family there today. Good luck, everybody. We'll catch